Chapter 103 to 107. While Neo fought the 8 kings, Acacia had finally got the full pot of center, the origin of gourmet cells on Earth and the source of all life on the planet, and the last engorgement of the planetary full course that he needed to devour. The ingredient that revives the heart of the appetite demon and allow it to devour its user or its user to devour it, merging in a perfect way, thus obtaining a power transformation without equal in this world. And that ingredient, as if it were a mystical jelly, was right in Acacia's hand, which was slowly bringing it to his mouth. Sue. Slurp. Acacia sipped center delicately, and closing her eyes with a great inner peace he focused to savor the most decisive meal of his life to the last detail. But suddenly Acacia opened his eyes in alarm. Center had activated something in his body. Who? R.A. Acacia shouted uncontrollably as all the hairs in every corner of his body grew at once in a sinister way, as if he was transforming into a werewolf who urgently needed a body haircut. Until, as if Acacia were a dandelion caught in a strong watching, all his hairs flew into the air at the same time, leaving a completely hairless Acacia with an unnatural shiny skin. A bright, unpolluted skin, as if it had never been touched by anyone. It was as if Acacia had been reborn. Incredible. Just by breathing, the most incredible pleasure surges throughout my body. If I were to eat something in this form, I can't even begin to imagine what would happen. This is the effect of life itself. Center. I truly feel as though I have been brought back to live, said the naked, bright, and cherub Acacia, admiring in his body the great effects that Center had caused. Neo. Now hurry and come out from there. Return to me, the gourmet god said, watching in the direction of the monster battle in which Neo was devoured twice. Inside the stomach of the Whale King. Plof. Neo pierced the body of the Snake King, and using thousands of energetic attack that fired from his brutal mouth. Boom. 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 Boo. Boom. The stomach of the Whale King and his entire chest exploded from the inside out, and with that Neo escaped and continued propelling himself by throwing energy beam from his mouth non-stop. Although the Dragon King did not have time to prepare his final attack, he pointed to Neo as soon as he saw how he left Whale King's body and Beam. He launched the most powerful attack of his life towards the greatest enemy he had seen, hoping to disintegrate him. An attack that in previous chapters reached beyond the solar system in tenths of a second and destroyed every planet or star in its path. But Graph. With another oral energy beam, Neo deflected the extra-dimensional laser of the Dragon King to the space. And before Neo could attack the Dragon King, that in this moment was run out of power. Neo. Over here, Acacia shouted, ordering his demon appetite to stop fighting and quickly approach his side. And Neo obeyed, instantly traveling at the speed of light to Acacia and getting in front of him without moving a muscle, in total submission and obedience. Neo. How marvelous you are, as expected of my appetite. Even I must acknowledge that you are strong. So I'll be tanking that strength, Acacia said as he touched Neo's face with his hand and opened his mouth with obvious intentions. Devour Neo. Stop. Stop it, Acacia, shouted the knocked blue nitro pair without being able to do anything, just seeing how Acacia was betraying him and was about to become the definitive being. Near that place, Starjun fell to the ground, still breathing but were very light breaths. He had been defeated by Joah in a long and complicated battle in which Starjun's power reached the limit by eating a food compatible with him that Joah used in battle. Food luck, if I know, now powers that affect the cause and effect are also ingredients here. At last, I've finally rid myself of your worthless existence, Starjun. And finally, you done it, haven't you, Acacia? You've finally eaten Neo. Joah shouted in the direction of the place where Acacia was. And after the smoke screen dissipated, he appeared. Acacia, whose appearance changed dramatically. His body appears to grow in lumps, many of which put together comprise his overall body. While he retains his former facial features as well as the scar across his forehead, he has grown a long beard. His large body also has several arms growing from large, rotund shoulders as well as several demonic, monster-like segments sprouting in a long series from his back and a long bland sinister tail. He looked more like an anthropomorphic monster with bioarmor than a human. A very scary and dangerous being. I've finally done it. At last. I've finally attained appetite for my own. I have acquired power of which there is none greater. Acacia shouted to the heavens to celebrate and admire his great achievement, merged with his appetite demon. The most powerful and dangerous appetite demon known in the universe. But there was someone very close to him who was not so happy that he had eaten Neo. The Blue Nitro pair, who tried to curse Acacia for tricking him to the point of killing his own brothers to make sure the plan was successful, although the Blue Nitro and appetite demon can then revive Acacia. You bastard! What have you? But... Bomb! He did not have time to end his injuries, since out of nowhere he was thrown away from a blow by a giant ape tail floating in the air. What? Acacia and Joah shouted at the same time as they watched the strange floating simian tail that hit Pear, and also the person who was appearing connected to the tail, as if he was crossing an invisible portal. Who the hell are you? Acacia asked incredulously at the shining reed-headed hybrid of human monkey with 3 eyes that appeared before him. In his 600 years of life, and despite all the ancestral knowledge that he had thanks to Neo and the Blue Nitro, he had never seen a being like him, a very strange being that released an unknown energy that did not seem to belong to this universe. And the fact that he had just appeared now, made Acacia, who had undoubtedly reached the top power and existence level of this world, increase his vigilance as never before in his life. There is no time to give many explanations. Midora has just learned Goriment luck and is coming here wanting to kill you and ask many questions. Toriko is being healed and is about to eat part of God and other foods from planetary full course as well as Midora. And Star June will be standing in a very short time having eaten your partner's gourmet luck. That's why before the long-awaited family reunion begins I must put my priorities at the beginning of the queue, Broly said, shivering with excitement and advancing little by little but great force towards Acacia, causing a great destruction at every step he took, as if he had been enduring destructive emotions for a long time and was releasing them right now in each movement. Acacia was baffled. The words of that being were quite confusing for him. What the hell are you, Tao? But he didn't have time to finish his question. Bomb! Since one of Broly's muscular arms appeared under the chin of Acacia, sending to fly out of the Earth's atmosphere at a speed greater than that of light. What the hell? Joah shouted in amazement, that he could not believe what he had just seen. A being who appeared out of nowhere sent Acacia flying in its most perfect state. A being who due to the state of his cells did not seem to have eaten any high-quality food in his life. How is it possible? Bomb! A huge explosion of bluish and greenish energy arose from Broly, sending Joah and Star June to fly several kilometers away. I said there is no time for explanations. I've been looking for a real fight for over 10 years. A fight that makes me feel alive at last. A true combat of strength, speed, power, energy and destruction. A fight that makes the Scion blood in my veins burn. A crazy fight in which I don't have to contain myself. Acacia. Give me that fight now. Broly shouted like never before, making his voice resonate and stagger the entire planet, and even the celestial bodies around him. Although the sound cannot be transmitted by the void, Broly's voice was heard throughout the galaxy as well as the light that his body emitted. A majestic greenish-blue light, the actual color of its hair and fur as well. The godly light that radiates the new transformation that Broly reached in this period of 10 years. The true legendary Super Saiyan God. Broly shouted like a true stereotyped Saiyan, showing the Omniverse his new transformation. A more muscular transformation that emitted a sacred greenish-blue light, a unique transformation only belonged to him. The true legendary Super Saiyan God. If the Super Saiyan God or Super Saiyan Red is the transformation of a Super Saiyan with godly energy and the Super Saiyan Blue is the transformation of a Super Saiyan 2 with godly energy. The true legendary Super Saiyan God is equivalent to the transformation of legendary Super Saiyan with godly energy. A normal Broly canon, which didn't know how to control himself, with no battle experience and without a special skills or hexes as our beloved Broly was able to humiliate expert like Goku and Vegeta in Super Saiyan Blue transformation with only the legendary Super Saiyan phase. What could that same transformation do with godly energy, to which you also have to add the transformation of true Saiyan to the equation? Despite being in a world in which his power was seriously limited because he has barely been able to taste its foods, which are the ones that contain most of the laws inside and outside the battle power, the result was clear. Op as hell. But that was something unknown to Acacia. Not bad, you're much stronger and more interesting than those dirty beasts, said Acacia, who somehow appreciated Broly's surprise punch. A punch that made him leave the atmosphere of the planet, but that wasn't critical for him. His powerful physique allowed him to resist such attacks, live without problems in space and also return to the planet, either manually or through the back channel. But you're still not qualified to put your dirty hands on me. Acacia said, watching Broly and the planet arrogantly, as if they were just insects that he can smash at any time with ease. Gummit spank. Acacia slapped the void and produced with it a titanic hand made of appetite energy, the ki, chakra or nen of Toriko universe, a hand so giant that could eclipse several continents of planet Earth, a planet Earth with the size of Saturn, a powerful titanic hand that if it were to hit the planet, a planet Earth as dense and thought as several neutron stars, will leave a continent-sized imprint on the planet, as if it had been hit by the most powerful and fierce meteorite. And that giant energy hand went straight to true legendary Super Saiyan God Broly. Yes. 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 This is the kind of battle I was looking for. Broly shouted, observing the giant palm that approached him with emotion and debauchery. Bomb! Broly jumped into the gourmet spank with great violence and lack of control, so much that he destroyed the ground thousands of kilometers around him, creating a crater no less small than the destruction that Acacia could have caused with his attack. And once out of the Earth's atmosphere, Broly was about to shock those five. Broly shouted with his open hand covered in his Kaien. He was about to pat Acacia's spank. Boom! Both attacks collided with each other, creating an explosion so huge that its shock wave suddenly cleared all the planet's clouds and formed titanic hurricanes near the impact point. The confrontation had been matched, but one of the two had emerged more victorious than the other. Shit, he hit harder, Broly thought as he was catapulted to the ground, since Acacia's attack had been more powerful and his strength had pushed him back. Broly had lost that first confrontation due to a relative difference between Acacia and him. The main reason for this difference wasn't that Broly had underestimated his opponent, despite not having used all his power, or that there was a great difference in physical and energy power. Acacia was overwhelmingly strong, resilient, and powerful. So strong that it could destroy with a punch a planet like the planet Earth of this universe, a planet more resistant than the sacred world, a planet so difficult to destroy that not even a battle with bout could destroy. A being so resilient that it is able to regenerate instantly from any attack and resist attacks capable of destroying thousands of stars as if nothing and even devouring stars and supernovas in one bite. Acacia, without also taking into account his many other skills such as teleportation through the back channel, time manipulation through the back channel, devouring anything, even incorporeal things, preventing the regeneration or resurrection of everything eaten. He was a being who in combat capacity could overcome without much difficulty the Hacation of Dragon Ball and begun to approach to the angel's level. Something very similar to what Broly could do in true Super Saiyan God. There wasn't a big difference between them, but there was now, even though Broly had acquired a superior transformation. The difference was due to the compatibility of the laws of this world. Because Broly for several reasons had not acquired too much information FO the most powerful ingredients, where the most important laws are concentrated, he could not adapt his full strength in the world of Toriko. That left Broly in a rather unfavorable situation, but he loved it. Ha 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 ha. Finally an interesting challenge. Broly shouted with excitement and madness as he looked at Acacia, who observes him with condescension in the same way that a lion observes a poor mouse with broken legs that was about to be eaten. But that expression didn't last long. Omega Smash. Broly teleported behind the confident and arrogant Acacia and clasping his hands hit him on the head as if it were a volleyball ball. Plom. That unexpected attack caught Acacia by surprise once more, sending him back to the planet as if it were a meteorite. And with this Broly got his revenge as immediately as possible. Boom! And when our hero barely had time to be prideful in this little victory. Hungry blow. Joah, the dark chef usurper of bodies at the service of Acacia, jumped out of the planet to his aid, throwing against Broly one of his characteristic energetic multiple planets cutting knife strikes. However, the attack passed through Broly as if he were intangible. What? What is this skill? Shouted Joah, who had activated his gourmet cells to the fullest, transforming in a powerful and demonic being. I haven't used this skill for years. Specifically since I became totally immortal. I don't want to use many of my skills, but I don't want to spend too much energy and time with Joah or suffer a cut that is recorded in my genetic code, although I can later cancel it. Stop bothering, I want to fight manly. Shouted Broly, who was about to launch an energy attack at Joah. But at that moment, inside a gigantic surface crater, Acacia lay peacefully after landing. What a wonderful task to savor. This feeling of strength superior to the 8 kings. I would have figured my farts to be deadlier than you do to your poor nutritional value, but perhaps you might be able to entertain me for a little while after all. Acacia said, watching Broly condescending again even though he had just praised him. When suddenly something disturbed his serenity. Stop bothering, I want to fight manly. Broly yelled at Joah, not paying attention to what Acacia said. He was busy dealing with an annoying fly that kept buzzing in his ear. That lack of attention didn't like Acacia. Look at me when I'm talking to you, Mr. Nobody. Acacia shouted, very angry upon seeing that his arrogant words were being ignored. Gourmet punch. And in response to that frustration, he sent to Broly a giant punch made of gourmet energy. But nevertheless, Joah, Acacia and Broly were surprised at the same time, since Acacia's powerful attack was suddenly redirected directly to himself. Wah! Acacia shouted with great confusion, hurting himself. Boom! Joah and especially Acacia were caught by surprise with this turn of events, unlike Broly, who had considered this possibility in his plans. So he continued with his energetic attack on Joah, saying, I knew Thin Momenti would come, but... Normal Ki Blast. Gourmet Luck. When Joah saw that a sphere made of an unknown energy was approaching him, and therefore with unknown effects, he decided not to take a risk and used his characteristic technique to completely avoid the attack. Gourmet Luck, the ability to manipulate probability and reality to make everything, or practically everything, a clear limit has never been set, occurs at the user's convenience. Even make attacks directed to him to fail magically without a logical reason. However, but I didn't expect you to appear so quickly, said Broly, who magically appeared smiling in front of Joah, grabbing his transformed demon face as if it were a ball and throwing him to the surface of the planet again. Bomb! Boom! Bomb! Boom! Boom! Where it bounced several times on the ground as if it were a stone thrown with good technique in the water. Until... clack! Something or... someone hard and powerful, someone so hard and powerful that easily endured and stopped the irremediable advance of someone who has been thrown at a light speed. Midora. Broly said, finishing his sentence. That's right, it was Midora, the main antagonist of the first part of the story, the toughest and strongest man in the world, not counting Acacia, and later the meaningless power-up Toriko, the adopted son of Acacia and Froence, the man able to copy any technique, the most voracious tongue in the anime, and in short, the fucking master. Sorry if my subjectivity affect the story so much, but it's one of my favorite antagonists. Which had used the Minority World technique that he copied from his brother Ichiryu in the previous attack of Acacia. A skill that allows you to reverse the effect of everything you want in a certain space. In that space, Midora is able to make an attack that is directed towards a person do the opposite, attacking its user, that an organ that tries to keep a person alive does the opposite, trying to kill him, that a wound that is causing the death of someone do the opposite, healing him. A terrifyingly useful technique that someone was interested in obtaining. My favorite Toriko character has finally appeared, both in powers, background, personality and motivations. Respect. And after his appearance he made no movement. He didn't even move a single facial muscle despite seeing that his supposedly deceased and adored by all adoptive father had become a bizarre monster, for having next to him the dangerous Joah, the person who previously sealed him and who possessed the body of his adoptive mother, the person he loves most in the world, and, of course, despite seeing a strange being that I knew nothing about, that was fighting them both at the same time in that crucial moment. He just stood in a badass pose watching the look of his father and Broly. Midora. How did you get out of that can? Growled Joah, who didn't understand how Midora could escape his seal, and that frustrated him. However, Midora didn't answer Joah's question, he had other issues to resolve first. Yo, Acacia. You're looking pretty different. In fact, Yori almost looking like a beast. Midora said at Acacia with an indifference that only masked his doubts and rage. To which Acacia responded without too much sentimentality either, how many centuries has it been, Midora? You've gotten so big yourself, your mouth, that... Bomb. But he was unable to finish his sentence. since a huge fist teleported directly to his face, hitting and sending him flying several kilometers away again. Your mouth is the one that has grown big. Close it at once and fight. Broly shouted, interrupting that moving meeting with unexpected violence. He was too eager to fight someone like Acacia, and knowing what the development and outcome of the conversation would be, he wanted to end it immediately. Acacia. Joah shouted upon see that Acacia had been beaten and taken away from him again with the same technique as before. That total and partial teleportation he have been using. Is it a back channel application? It is possible, but... no. Not at least with those cells. I am able to hear the voice of the ingredients. It is clear that this man has not eaten news. It is impossible that he is able to use the back channel. What is happening? And in the same way Midora and his incredible mirror neurons capable of learning anything almost instantly tried to copy Broly's teleportation ability, but... what is happening? I expected some complications copying that skill, just like the gourmet luck, but... it is being impossible for me. Is it a technique that like the back Chanel is not possible to copy if you haven't eaten a certain ingredient? I don't know who you are or what kind of business or disputes you have with Acacia, but they will have to wait. I have many things to ask and clarify after a few hundred years, said Midora cordially but intimidating at the same time. It didn't seem like he was willing to negotiate. I don't know who you are or what kind of business or disputes you have with Acacia, but they will have to wait. I have many things to ask and clarify after a few hundred years, said Midora cordially but intimidating at the same time. It didn't seem like he was willing to negotiate. But Broly, without bothering too much about Midora's dominant attitude, kept looking at the horizon, in the direction in which he had sent Acacia to fly. I know and I understand you. It's been hundreds of years since you saw him and that you feel that everything related to Frozy's death and your attempts to save her could have been orchestrated by Acacia in a subliminal way, which would be a horrible thing, but... don't you think you should first take care of another matter before? It was just at that moment when Joah in his Satan transformation had the opportunity to get too close to Midora. So close that he was able to put his legendary knife, Cinderella, in Midora's frown, a few millimeters from his skin, at a speed in which Midora could only react slightly. Joah knew he was in an unfavorable situation. Broly was an unpredictable variable with enough strength and abilities to send Acacia to fly several times, and Midora was equal to or more powerful than Broly from his perspective. However, Broly seemed to be only interested in fighting with Acacia, so it was very likely that he wouldn't attack if he didn't provoke him. As for Midora, he could use the fact that he was possessing Froence's body in his favor to kill him or seal him again, appealing to his feelings. So he decided to end one of the two dangerous variables before Acacia could return. You won't be able to dodge this now. In fact, I've already hit you. Midora. Joah said before using one of his most powerful attacks a millimeter from his head. Satan Hole. Satan Hole. A knife technique capable of creating a cutting energy drill that was able to reach the outer space, drilling and destroying several planets in its path. But I hadn't gotten to tell you yet, Joah, what my full course is, Midora said with absolute tranquility as he watched Frozy's body with melancholy. What? Joah exclaimed in bewilderment when he saw that Midora wasn't hurt in the least. Although Midora didn't move any millimeter and his attack was clearly successful. He failed to hit Midora. That was impossible, or... this is... gourmet luck. When I first met Fariz, that meeting. That is my full courses, hors d'oeuvre. That's where it all began, Midora said, remembering when he was an orphan who had only known hunger, fear and hatred. A child not so different from a violent wild animal that survived by stealing food, that when he was about to die from starvation was saved by Frozy. But Joah didn't care at all, she just wanted to kill Midora. Planet rotatory cutting. Joah used a knife skill against Midora capable of completely stripping a planet, and that attack had covered Midora's body with millions of cuts. This time I hit him, Joah thought with satisfaction. However, Midora seemed not to feel pain or be affected by that attack. He didn't move a millimeter or change his expression, he simply watched Joah in the same way as before. Immovable. And Frozy's charity. That is my full courses, soup. The flavor of that very first soup I ate, even if I died, I'd never forget it. Midora said while remembering with nostalgia and happiness the soup that Frozy prepared and fed him in bed minutes after she saved him. Satan drip. But Joah kept attacking non-stop, this time spitting her stomach juices over Midora's face, some more corrosive stomach juices than those of the king snake. My seafood dish is the warmth of my first family, Midora said, remembering how Froence introduced him to his adoptive siblings and declaring him as part of the family, a family, for someone who only knew loneliness and contempt. Those are the devil's gastric juices. Why aren't they digesting you? Joah shouted in despair when he saw that nothing he did worked with Midora. He didn't even flinch, whatever he did. My full courses, meat dish. Is the feeling that even now, still lingers on my forehead. The feeling of her goodnight kiss, Midora said, remembering when Frozy gently kissed him on the forehead when he couldn't sleep due to the nightmares he suffered due to the fear of experiencing again his life before meeting Frozy. You goddamn Oedipus mama's boy. Joah shouted with rage and despair as he launched another attack with which he wished to finally kill the adopted son of the body he was possessing. Satan bomb. Boom. 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 And for this he used a technique that consisted of triggering a powerful concentrated explosion capable of volatilizing continents. And my full courses, main dish. Midora still stood undeterred. Why? How? Joah no longer knew what to do. It seemed impossible to kill him. Is her face, how it always looked over me with such kindness and care. Frozy's smile is my main dish, Midora said, remembering the resplendent smile of the friendliest and most kind person he has ever met. But Joah didn't give up. He kept attacking and using his greatest ability to create a miracle that could kill him. Gourmet luck. And no matter what, wherever, whenever. She'd always still be on my side, no matter how I was. I could never forget Frozy's encouragement. That is my full courses, salad, Midora said with tears in her eyes, remembering all the times that Frozy had seen how good and capable he was, when instead he hated himself and felt unworthy to be by his side and everything she had given and did for him. Gourmet luck. Gourmet luck. Gourmet luck. She took me, who was such a fool, and straightened me out, guided me, and lead me on forwards, down the right path. Frozy's teachings, that is my dessert, Midora said, remembering with more tears in his eyes the life lessons of Frozy, where he showed a selfish child the importance of sharing food and other good moral values. Gourmet luck. Gore. Go. It can't be. I've run out of gourmet luck. Joah thought desperately. Frozy was always working the hardest to satisfy people's hunger, family, or strangers, it didn't matter who. But for her to give it to someone like me, she taught me the greatest flavor, the greatest love of all. Before I knew it, my stomach and appetite was instilled within me, and the only thing it longed for was Frozy's cooking. When Frozy died, my appetite was thrown for the wayside and lost. It was frustrate, with no outlet or release, no way to satisfy itself, feeling only an insatiable hunger with no end in sight. I became cynical and even now carry that bitterness within me. All Frozy wanted, more than anything else, was for there to be pace, for everyone to be smiling, sitting around the dinner table from each other. That was Frozy's dream. Midora said, regretting his actions that braided his mother's teachings. Actions driven by the hatred he felt for the world and for himself, which he considered unworthy of Frozy and her dream. The fact that with the death of his brothers and Frozy and the betrayal of his father this would be an impossible dream, and that he was never or will be satisfied with whatever he eats. Since I could never eat as a family as before. But before Joah could completely imitate the appearance, voice, mood and sweet words of Frozy to confuse Midora and distract him from an attack of Acacia that was summoned with his gourmet luck to kill Midora by surprise. But contrary to what Joah expected, an injured Acacia flew in the opposite direction, an Acacia that flew uncontrollably as if it had been hit by a truck. I'm sorry to interrupt this emotional speech, but a certain person wanted to attack you by ignoring me completely. That is an affront that I cannot tolerate. Continue, said Broly, who until now had been watching one of the most emotional moments in the manga, waiting for Acacia to return to attack Midora, and defend him in case Toriko didn't arrive on time to save the situation. Impossible. Joah shouted when he saw that not even his gourmet luck could save him. But Midora didn't even flinch again, as if he already expected something like that to happen. Joah shouted while his body, not really his body, was slowly being disintegrated due to the effect of Minority World and gourmet luck. My full course will probably never be all brought together again for all eternity. After all, eating together as a family, just like Frozy's dream, that impossibly pure, genuine and true dream. That is my full course's last dish. That is my drink, Midora said, finishing explaining what his full course is, without being disturbed by what had just happened around him, regretting that this dream and all his full course were things that had been lost forever. And facing the most absolute despair of seeing his body begin to disintegrate. Joah pleaded for his life. Am I? Midora. Wait. This body of mine, it's still originally Frozee's body. Can you really destroy it like this? If you can just find Frozee's soul, then someday your dream could still come true. Your full course. Is a load of shit, Joah said suddenly, trying to seal Midora once again, taking advantage of that emotional blackmail. But this time. Gap. It didn't work on him and he attacked again with greater intensity thanks to his minority world. It's just like I said at first. My full course is a souvenir for you to take to the underworld. If you happen to meet Frozee on the other side, tell her for me, Midora said with great tranquility and inner peace. Midoriya. Don't erase me. This is the body that has all your memories attached to it. Joah shouted as the last attempt to save his life by appealing to Midora's feelings towards Frozee. Don't worry, I've gotta my memories safely in the pit of my stomach. And even now. They're still maturing and ripening. An unchanging savoriness and flavor that even now, continues to fill up and satisfy my body, Midora said, moving away from Joah without looking back while Frozee's body quickly became nothing. When Midora turned around, the first thing he could see was the back of someone he knew. Toriko, the protagonist of the manga, who after being injured by Acacia and recovering had arrived, as it should be, to the final battleground while. Bomb. Bomb mum. 1. Prom. Crack. He watched with attention the thrilling battle between the monstrous Acacia and Broly, a muscular ape-human monster that radiated an intense but divine light, an extremely strong and mysterious being of which he had never seen or heard of, but he seemed an ally, at least for now. And Broly, as if he were a scion landing on a planet in his small, spherical spacecraft, created a huge explosion. Boom! A forced landing caused by a very furious Acacia. Foo! Ahahahahaha. This is very funny. That son of a bitch strikes very hard and regenerates almost instantly. Ah, hello Midora, have you finished your business? Broly asked happily. As if he had just gone through a very fun experience and suddenly he had found a good friend to share it with. Yes, I could finish it, but I fear that another commitment is waiting for me now, Midora said without the same enthusiasm as Broly as he stared at Acacia in the distance. Bomb! Bastards! You have killed my chef. Now I will have to find someone as capable as he was, someone that can go with me to the furthest lands. I will kill you. I will return everyone. Acacia shouted with great fury, which landed beside him causing earthquakes all over the planet. And ignoring the great thirst for blood and the demonic face that Acacia is showing, Toriko said, Midora, and whoever you are. Both of you came here with tremendous strength, the strength of hundreds, no, thousands. But there's one thing I need to tell you to look out for. The capture level of TH perfect form of Neo that Acacia absorbed is 22.0000. And when Neo had fully separated from him, Acacia's capture level was 8.000. Which means the current Acacia's capture level is a total of 30.000, none of the 8 kings exceeded 7,000. Oh. That's over 9,000. Another manga that uses the power scales created by Akira Toriyama. And just like in Dragon Ball, those power scales in the end meant nothing. They stopped making sense when powerful techniques appeared, techniques that jumped several power ranges. In the end they only served to create expectations in the spectator and to give advantage to the Z warriors, since their abilities to detect ki, hide ki, and increase the ki made those detectors useless. And although Starjun recently joined the family reunion with Broly, Midora did not flinch, he only answered to Toriko with the same expression he had until now. By the way, Toriko, 30.000? What kind of game are you playing? I never had any interest in some number. My appetite is constantly breaking its limits. Stick close to me, you too. But before that... Acacia. I have to, Midora said, approaching the monstrous Acacia to ask him certain things, most related to Frozee, before fighting. But... Bomb! Broly once again got in the way of that family reunion, separating the four with a huge explosion of energy that detonated around him, an explosion of energy that covered half of that gigantic planet. You again. Midora and Acacia yelled at the same time, looking at Broly as if he were an annoying fly that hovered non-stop near their favorite dish. But Broly didn't care about that murderous aura that was heading towards him, even if it was one of his favorite characters. I repeat again. Acacia is my prey. And I repeat again, I know you want to talk with him, Midor, but you won't get a really honest answer no matter how much you ask. Only pure shit will come out of his mouth. He will only say and do what can piss you off the most to increase your hatred towards him. After all, the hate is his kryptonite, his Achilles heel, his weak point. Broly said, watching Acacia in a defiant and mocking way, as if he were in a poker game and knew his opponent's cards. What? Acacia shouted with surprise, perplexity, and some fear, while Midora changed his expression slightly for the first time, as if he was beginning to understand something. Leave it to me, you should simply dedicate yourself to protecting the planet from collateral damage or direct attacks from this madman. Broly said, moving forward to the perplexed and confused Acacia. Wait, Midora said, ignoring Broly's words, and approached him to jointly attack his father and also to ask him a lot of questions. But at that moment Broly sent a telepathic message to Midora, and he stopped his progress immediately. Not only that, his whole body began to shake, and his face, which was normally inexpressive and indifferent above all, in a few fragments of a second he expressed all the emotions that a human being could register in his life due to an emotional explosion. And following that message and try to regain peace of mind, Midora could only answer, "Are you serious?" "Of course, grant me this little favor and I will help you too," Broly said with a confident smile. "Okay, I will allow you to do what you want, we will not interfere, at least I won't interfere if you have the situation under control. However, if all this turns out to be a lie, I will destroy you," Midora said in a threatening way, but kind and assertive at the same time. "Yes, yes, yes. No need to put that face or start preparing, you hungry space. I will end this before snack time," Broly said confidently before heading to Acacia. "Anger, hate, your weak point. Normally I like to take advantage of my adversary's weaknesses, since it is the smartest way to win, but I'm afraid it will be impossible. I'm afraid it's impossible for me to hate you, Acacia. After all I can feel for you is pity," Broly said condescendingly and mockingly. "What?" Acacia shouted with great anger and hate at hearing that insult. Such was his level of anger that his transformation had become even more monstrous. "Yes. I pity you, Acacia, you are so pathetic that it is impossible not to feel sorry for you. You are known as the gourmet god, and yet you have been consumed by your own appetite. You wanted to save the world and you have become their greatest enemy. You wanted a family and you have ended up causing their death, and now you are trying to kill those who are still alive. Due to the influence of Neo, you have tried to become the perfect being, and you have only managed to become a monster due to not having consumed a food compatible with you, the one that started the Gourmet era and laid the foundations of knowledge of food and the full courses. Ha ha ha, and in the end it turned out that you were the only one who didn't really have a full course compatible with you. You are so pathetic that you have been completely consumed by your appetite, ceasing to be the one you used to be, being this obsession to generate hatred the only subconscious attempt that remains of your old self, that is trying to unite the whole world to kill you and thus be able to stop Neo and yourself. I feel sorry for you, you are a very unfortunate person. Tell me, how do you want me to feel hate for someone as pathetic as you?" Broly said with a more devilish smile than Acacia herself, trying to generate extreme hatred in Acacia in the same way he tried to do with everyone, a smile and words so poisonous that even Toriko, Midora and Star June were wondering who was the real monster. "Bastard! Bastard! Bastard! I'm going to kill you, son of a bitch!" Acacia screamed with bloodshot eyes, filling the floor with acid drool and emerging new monstrous bumps all over his body. Extreme hatred had transformed him again, and he no longer looked like a human being at all. Kami no Stukamadori. "Bastard! Bastard! Bastard! I'm going to kill you, son of a bitch!" Acacia screamed with bloodshot eyes, filling the floor with acid drool and emerging new monstrous bumps all over his body. Extreme hatred had transformed him again, and he no longer looked like a human being at all. Acacia raised his left hand furiously, as if were trying to hold something in the palm of his hand with great force. Kami no Stukamadori. And with that gesture, a giant hand made of appetite energy emerged from the ground, raising with it the entire surface of that area, and in the center of the palm of that hand was Broly. "Your grievance is directly proportional to your lack of arguments. You should learn to debate," Broly said, answering the insults of Acacia without worrying about what was coming next. "Be crushed." Acacia shouted as he clenched his fist with a colossal force, and at the same time he clenched his fist. The giant hand that held Broly did too. Gusay! Causing with that movement a large shock wave that spread throughout the planet. But Acacia noticed something strange in that grip, as if he hadn't caught what he really wanted. At that moment, thanks to his newly acquired gourmet luck skill and his more than 600 years of battle struggle with thousands of beasts and ingredients, Acacia was able to predict that something was approaching him from his back. And he was not wrong, since when he turned around he could see how Broly appeared out of nowhere several meters behind him with both hands together, channeling what looked like a sphere of green/bluish energy of colossal dimensions, so big that it looked like a small star. A small star that covered the entire planet and the surrounding stars with light, even covering the sun of that solar system. Geech, this is the most powerful and complicated attack I used against someone in my whole life. I hope you can resist it, or it won't be fun. Omega Dama Sense Sealing Jail Spacetime Isolation. Broly launched that strange and sinister sphere of energy with multiple effects unknown to Acacia, an attack so powerful, complicated, nullifying and definitive for which no plan B was necessary. So threatening was that attack made with an energy unknown to this universe that still Midora, Toriko and Saturjun were immediately alerted. Shit, does that guy plan to destroy the world? Toriko shouted, which could catch a strange smell in the sphere of energy that made his whole body shake and begged him to back off. Be prepared for anything, Midora said, opening his mouth preparing to defend the planet he was born in case Broly's attack hit the planet. However, Acacia's head deformed, increasing its size in a surreal and macabre way. It was so large that it could easily rival a planetary body. And at a practically imperceptible speed the giant and monstrous mouth of Acacia opened and completely devoured the Omega Dama Sense Sealing Jail Spacetime Isolation of Broly. Oops. He has eaten the energy attack that has cost me so much to prepare in one bite. Ungrateful bastard. Anyway. Plan B, Broly thought with resignation, but not much resignation. An interesting taste. I had never eaten anything like that in my life, thought with satisfaction Acacia licking his lips, before. Very powerful simple axe kick. Broly shouted, teleporting his right leg on top of Acacia's gigantic head, hitting him bluntly vertically, causing Acacia to bite his monstrous tongue. Gaia, thank you for giving me such a big target. You should use your head to think and not to eat. Broly shouted to enrage Acacia, who flew uncontrollably against the planet's surface. Bomb! Boom! 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 The impact was devastating that Acacia did not stop when he hit the planet for the first time. He continued advancing uncontrollably by drilling that ultra-resistant planet layer by layer, thus creating a hole in and out of one hemisphere to another. Damn arrogant monkey. I will kill you and everyone at once. Acacia shouted, squeezing his hand once more, let me hear them. Your screams of despair. Once again Acacia created one of her characteristic giant energy hands with the intention of crushing something with the palm of that hand, but on this occasion that gigantic hand was larger than the planet itself. A hand that materialized outside the atmosphere of the planet and slowly closed its fingers. And with it he wanted to destroy the entire planet and all his inhabitants. Meteor laser. Midora, upon seeing the devastating attack of Acacia, summoned part of his appetite demon as if it were in stand, which launched from his mouth a large number of appetite energy lasers that prevented the attack of Acacia and destroying his energy hand. Midora. Are you finally using your appetite? Acacia yelled, pressing his hand once more to perform another attack. With that gesture dozens of hands as big and powerful as the previous one materialized and approached the planet from space to finish the work that the previous hand could not do. And with a malevolent smile Acacia told his adopted son as he squeezed his hand even more, but that doesn't matter. Try to stop T. But he didn't have time to finish his sentence, and not even Midora was able to warn him sarcastically, since Broly appeared once again out of nowhere, hitting hard the face of the unprepared Acacia. EATH this motherfucker! Shouted Broly, attacking with his fist charged with green/bluish energy towards Acacia's face. Bomb! And once again Acacia was shot against the planet's surface. Damn you! Acacia shouted, trying to stop his advance so as not to pierce the planet once more. Despite stopping that powerful blow that aimed to make him drill the planet again, he was able to only being stuck in a crater kilometers deep inside. And at the precise moment in which he set out to leave it with great fury, hunger and desire to slaughter Broly for his multiple intrusions. But Yippee-ki-yay, son of a bitch. Broly appeared before him before he could even get up, and with both arms with Kin. Emuday. 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 Venom. 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 Broly hit Acacia multiple times at an ultra-light speed, using him as a nail with which he was drilling the planet once more. And while Acacia was hammered over and over again, he could notice something quite disconcerting. What's going on with this guy? He could barely make me feel pain before, but now every one of his blows is incredibly heavy and deadly, so much that even took me more than a second to recover. Every time he gets faster and stronger, but at the same time I feel that he is not getting faster or stronger. He hasn't even increased his strange energy. This is strange. I don't understand. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.